Hello, my name is Jacqueline Latch, and my presentation is on Babatunde, Francis, Ayeni, and wire fraud. So, wire fraud. Wire fraud is the act of committing or attempting to commit fraud with the use of some kind of telecommunications on the internet. Scammers impersonate trustworthy sources with email or phone calls and attempt to get your financial information or get you to send them money. This can also be known as mail fraud. How is the computer an instrument in wire fraud? The computer is used as a communication device between the scammer and the victim. The scammer tricks the victim with emails, scams, or websites. And the computer can also be used as the method of sending and receiving the funds, although this can also be done through mail. So, methods of wire fraud. Social engineering plays a big role in all these different methods of the crime, like phishing, romance scams, overpayment scams, tech support scams, and much, much more. So, what is social engineering? Social engineering is when someone, usually a scammer, uses manipulation, influence, or deception to trick others into allowing access to computer systems or personal information. Scammers make requests that typically sound very urgent and unprofessional. Phishing. This is the most common form of social engineering and wire fraud in general. Scammers trick the victim into thinking that they're a trusted or legitimate company and then have them send personal information. Romance scams. The scammer forms a romantic relationship and endears themselves to the victim. They act genuinely caring and loving, and it can be difficult to differentiate between scams and people who want to genuinely start a relationship sometimes. But no matter what, at some point the scammer will ask for money, and because the victim trusts them, they will usually send it. The scammer will continue this process until the victim catches on. Overpayment scams. The scammer claims to have sent the victim an overabundance of money in an attempt to refund them, then urge the victim to reimburse them with gift cards or online banking. The victim does not actually owe any money. The entire situation is completely fabricated. Tech support scams. A scammer will call using a fake caller ID and claim to be tech support from a well-known company like Microsoft. Then they request access to your computer and claim that you have a problem in your files when you don't actually. They sound very legitimate, and it's important to note that unexpected tech support calls are almost undoubtedly scams. Wire fraud in this case. The scammers utilized phishing. They sent out malicious emails with the intent to scam the recipient and stole millions of dollars through this method. Understanding the crime. The scammers sent emails with malicious attachments to legitimate real estate agencies. And with the malicious attachments, they monitored and stole employees' login information. And with this information, they used it to compromise their accounts and provide fraudulent wiring instructions to their clients. And the clients trusted the compromised accounts, hence social engineering. They stole $19.5 million from 231 people this way. Now, there were actually 400 victims, but of those that were not included in this statistic, they were able to get their money back, so that's why they were not included. So, why did they target real estate agencies? Real estate agencies are actually some of the most targeted businesses when it comes to wire fraud, and this is likely due to the high value transactions that occur routinely, making it easy to make a lot of money with even just one victim. So who is he? Babatunde Francis Ayeni. He was a 33-year-old living out of the UK. He was part of a business email compromise scheme where they targeted real estate transactions, stole information, and deceived trusting clients and stole their money. He had never been convicted of any crimes before. So how long did this take? The scheme itself took place over the course of a couple years, and it made millions every year. But Ayeni and his co-conspirators eventually got cut short when he was apprehended by the police. So how'd they learn about him? A pattern of phishing emails sent to real estate agencies were identified by authorities. Investigators then traced the funds that uncovered patterns to accounts linked to Ayeni and his accomplices. How did he get caught? Not much is known online that explains the events leading up to his arrest. I was looking online for a while, and through all the websites and articles that I looked at, there wasn't much about the in-person interaction that happened, so I wasn't sure. All that is known publicly is that his capture was a result of collaborative efforts between U.S. law enforcement and their counterparts in the UK, which we will get into now. Many aspects go into international collaboration. Fraudulent activities need to be detected and then begin being analyzed in the US. and if evidence points to a suspect outside of the US, then they get in contact with the respective country. In this case, it was the UK. Then the respective agencies communicate and share evidence. The UK may have done their own investigation before arresting Ayeni just to ensure legitimacy. If enough evidence is gathered, then US prosecutors can request extradition since the crimes affected US victims. And then, and only then, can the perpetrator, in this case Ayeni, appear in court. And all of this is possible because of MLATs, Mutual Legal Assistance Treaties. They facilitate the exchange of information and evidence between countries. So did he have accomplices? We think so. Ayeni named 2 accomplices, Feisayo Owensawo and Youssef Lassisi. Also, I apologize if I messed up those names. I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce them. And they are both still at large. They were not captured. Damages. Approximately 19.5 million was unrecoverable, and this left many lives in shambles. Many had lost over 40,000 in attempts to buy homes, and now it was all gone. I want to talk about the impact of wire fraud on victims. Dozens of people had lost all of the money they had saved towards buying a home. Some made impact statements in court testifying about the shame, despair, and depression they experienced from the losses. One victim had lost more than $100,000 attempting to purchase a home for his father with Parkinson's. This is kind of a personal opinion, but I think that the severity of wire fraud depends on the amount stolen, because in some more minor phishing cases, like only a couple $100 get stolen, which, I don't know, it kind of pales in comparison to the $100,000 that was stolen from this victim, and I'm sure some others. So, just a personal opinion. So what was his plea? Ayeni pled guilty. He was convicted for conspiracy to commit wire fraud and was handed his sentence in April 2024. He was sentenced to 10 years in jail and forced to pay restitution. More about the consequences of wire fraud. Punishment can range drastically. For minor cases, you could get off with just a small fine, but for major cases, you could receive a max of 20 years and fines up to $250,000. If the target is a financial institution, punishment can go to 30 years, and fines can range upwards of $1 million. So, don't do that. Wire fraud statistics. There was a total of $12.5 billion in lost funds due to wire fraud in 2023. The majority of these came from investment scams, which made up $4.6 billion of that. The runner-up was business email compromise scams, which is what Ayeni did, and that made up $2.9 billion of that statistic, and tech support scams, which were $0.9 billion, claimed the least, although it still made the top 3 of these kinds of, like, wire fraud. Wire fraud statistics continued. Consumers are the most widely affected. 1 in 4 are targeted with suspicious communications. 1 in 10 become specifically targeted, like they're going after a specific person, instead of just being sent to a bunch of random people, and 1 in 20 become actual victims. Wire fraud prevention. Beware of senses of urgency in emails. If you get caught up in the anxiety of the moment, it can become easy to forget your common sense. Scammers will take advantage of your emotions. They'll say things like, oh, you need to log in right now, your account is in danger, you need to log in, you need to, I don't know. They'll say something about you losing something, just making it seem really urgent. And, you need to act in the moment. I don't know, if you get caught up in the anxiety, it's easy to forget that, forget your common sense. Stay informed. Being aware of the risks of certain transactions can help you prevent from making fraudulent ones. And verify everything. Double check the details of transactions and recipients before sending them. So, I don't know, double check names, double check email addresses, just double check any information that you can get your hands on before sending personal or financial or any type of information to anybody. And that is my presentation. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for watching.